Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and joining. I'm Kennedy Owen, as you may know, and I would love to get to know maybe about your educational background and currently where your career has taken you within economics.
Sure. So I did my bachelor's degree at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, and I was told then, as I was majoring in econ, that if I really wanted to answer the questions that I had, that I would need to pursue a doctorate. And so after that, I go to Washington University in St. Louis, and I get a master's degree, and then I get a Ph.D. from there, and I become a professor. My first job, I actually haven't had many jobs. So my first job was at the University of Alabama. I was in the economics department there, and then I was at the University of Oklahoma. So wherever I go, football teams win. Alabama, Oklahoma, and then most recently, I'm here at Tulane University.
Wow. Awesome. And it seems like you're a good luck charm regarding the football team as well, which is awesome. So as your educational background is so strong, could you explain a little more on where you are currently and like where your profession has taken you?
Right. So I guess I'll tell you a little bit about the type of work I do, which is how I ended up here. So um, when I started out, I would do work that just looked at poverty. And so there was this claim that if you grew the economy fast enough, if you grew um, GDP fast enough, that poverty would just disappear. And so they had this line that would say that a rising tide lifts all boats. And then I found that, what you really had was more like a skimming, that the economy would rise, GDP would rise, and those right along the poverty line would be benefited, right? And so then you lift them up. But those farther down weren't being helped. And so I was wondering, I was like, wow, the economy is really growing, but poverty is only falling a bit. So I wonder, well, where are those benefits going? If it's not going to the bottom, which is clearly not, it has to be going somewhere. And that's when I started looking at the entire income distribution. And so I would say, okay, we've got GDP doing this, and let's see what's happening for people at the bottom, people at the middle, people at the top. But then I realized I didn't just have to look at GDP. I could look at anything and then see what happened to people at the bottom and people at the middle and people at the top. So that's what I started doing. I started taking just about any question that you could have, and I would say, okay, let's take a look at that and see what that does to people at the bottom and at the middle and at the top, and who benefits and who pays for all types of things like tax reform or like welfare reform. Or I would do stuff on like things like the minimum wage, just things that would come to mind. I was like, I wonder how people up and down would be affected by this thing.
Very cool. And I really like that you honed in on like poverty and something that's so prevalent within society and obviously making an impact for the greater good. As I might have kind of skipped over this, but was there something that sparked your interest in this or just like the field of economics? Like what kind of got you into that?
Well, I ended up in economics as a question that came from observing my mom, actually. So my mom was probably the hardest working person I had ever seen. And sometimes she'd have two jobs, and sometimes she'd have as many as three jobs. And my mom would always say to me, hey, you know what? If you just work hard, you'll get ahead in life. And I'd watch my mom work, and I was like, well, if working hard is the key, then you should be a millionaire or a billionaire. And I don't know anybody who works harder, but that's not the case, right? And so that's what sparked my interest. My interest was trying to answer that simple question was like, She said, all you got to do is just work hard. Working hard, I don't know. There seems to be a disconnect there. And so when I was in high school, the high school I went to, they actually had economics. Lots of high schools don't, but my school had an economics course, and I took it, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is the type of thing that I think will help me with the types of questions that I have. That's how I ended up, right? I ended up just doing it out of personal interest, and was like, hey, you know what? Yeah, this is something I think about.
Yeah, exactly. And I really like that, like some high schools, like personally, I'm fortunate enough to go to a high school that does have like an economics class. And that's kind of what got me into it. I think
Mhm.
without that, I wouldn't have been exposed to that and all the specifics. So I think that is definitely a benefit of a school offering so many different courses. A question I have for you is how is economics a strong major or a career path?
The thing I like about economics as a major is that there are lots and lots of things you can do with this degree. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but economics has about 40 subdisciplines, such as environmental economics. Let's say that you're someone who's concerned about the environment, then you concentrate in environmental economics. But we also have health economics. We have housing economics. We have law and economics. We have political economics. We have public economics. And the list just goes on and on. And so, no matter what your interests are, right, there's a field in economics where you learn these basic tools about scarcity and allocation. You learn the basic tools of economics, supply and demand, and then you can take it and you can apply it to whatever thing it is that really, really interests you. And that's what I like about it, that it's really broad. Lots and lots of people and my former students actually do really, really well in law school. In fact, and I'm not even making this up, to go to law school, you have to take a test called the LSAT. The major that'll get you the highest number on the LSAT? It's not pre-law, it's not mathematics. The major that'll get you the highest score on that LSAT, economics.
Wow. Yeah, I really like the diversity of the field. And I like that you
Hmm.
mentioned that there's not just economics, there's housing economics, there's so
Hmm.
forth, and the list goes on and on. As you are a professor at Tulane, is there anything you kind of noticed about Tulane's economics curriculum that is unique in comparison to other universities?
Yeah. So what I like about economics here is there's two ways you can think about it. You can think about it as a theoretical science, right? Well, I'm gonna put these two equations together and this is what should happen. And so that's theoretical. And then there's something more applied where I'm looking at things that are happening in the economy and I'm trying to explain what it is I'm seeing that's actually happening for real. And that's the type of training that we like to give here at Tulane, a real applied economics training so that the students coming out of here can address problems that they see. In fact, I like to say that my goal when I'm teaching freshmen in economics at college is that whether you major in economics at all, I don't care if this is the last economics course you ever take, you're going to be able to intelligently watch the news or read the newspaper and be able to say, okay, that's not true. That story is halfway finished. So it's a good tool to have, even if you're not majoring in economics. That's what's so cool about it, is that it works for even people who don't see this as a career path. And for those us who do, it's even better.
Yeah, exactly. I really like the direction you took that, and I feel like there is so much fake news, and it is a really strong tool to be like have a magnifying glass for whatever,
Mm-hmm.
you know from your prior knowledge. The final question I have for you as a high school student interested in economics, what are some maybe websites, books, articles that you think would allow me to have a head start for when I am a freshman in college in like about economics, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so what I would suggest is the coolest thing you can do is find for free a podcast called The Hidden Curriculum, right? You'll find it where you find most podcasts is free. It's called The Hidden Curriculum. It's run by these two econ professors. And what do? They just interview econ professors and they talk about economics in a really understandable way for high school folks. I really, really like that podcast in particular. I was supposed to have been on it, but I guess I was so bad that they never used it.
Yeah.
In addition, there's a website called the Council of Economic Education, the CEE. And what I really like about going there to the CEE website is it's all about high school and below economics training. The whole site is designed not for college, for K through 12 understanding. And in fact, they give you well, they gave me this book of games you can play for high school students. And even now, I with my college students, we play some of the games that they gave us. It's these really cool games. So you want to watch supply and demand actually happen in real time. You play one of these games, and you can actually go on their website and they have stuff like you're the president of the Federal Reserve Bank and you have to do stuff to control the economy. Yeah, you're actually in control of the economy. And so that stuff, it's more hands-on. And I think for high school people, it's the type of stuff that I wish I had had. Just really, let me see if I can get in here and how bad I can mess up the economy.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your resources and your time. I really appreciate it.
Sure, no problem at all.
Okay. Well, have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you greatly.
All right, you too.
Bye.